What's up, everybody? I'm Zach and welcome back to Aerial Assault, and today we're going to be talking about the new saddle from Trophyline, the Venatic. Alright guys, like I said, we're going to be talking about the new Venatic from Trophyline. And if you watch my channel before, you know that I don't do a lot of saddle reviews, and the reason being there's just a lot of things with the saddle that are going to change the comfort for each person. So there's just so many variables. With that said, I'm not really going to talk much about the comfort of this today, other than just tell you this is a great saddle, extremely impressive saddle. But there are some features in it that I want to talk about that I just think that are some overlooked things, or people haven't noticed about it yet, or haven't thought about how great they will be. So with that said, let's kind of get into it. When you get the saddle, it's going to be the saddle and this bridge. There's nothing wrong with this bridge. I think it holds its rigidity good. It's made to be openable. I personally am not a fan of that. I like to cinch down my bridge when I'm walking in, and I guess I could have done that with this too, but I like the adjustability on the bridge loops, and I just find that easier to do with an Oplux bridge. So these are one from TX5. Several people make them, but this is just my preference. It's not something that you have to have. So that would be the bridge that you get. You would girth hitch this on one side, connect this on the other, and then you have your bridge length adjustment there. Rope works perfectly fine. It's just not my preference. But the first thing I think that anybody's gonna notice about this saddle, in my opinion, is the ripstop material. I know a lot of people say it's light, and they talk about how light it is, but when you first hold it, in my opinion, it just feels like a saddle when you're holding it in your hand. And that's due to the buckles. It does have larger buckles in some saddles, at least on the leg straps. It kind of reminds me of the old Arrow Hunter saddles. They used to have these on the leg straps, and now a lot of people are going to more of a micro button or a micro clip. But I mean, this is perfectly fine, and it doesn't bother me, and I'll get to that eventually. But like I said, this ripstop, I'm super impressed with it. So years ago, I had a pair of Scentlock pants that were ripstop material, and I always loved wearing those pants because they felt cool to the touch. And I know that's hard to explain. I know we wear a lot of stuff, fishing nowadays, that are long sleeve because they're a cooling material. Ripstop is very similar. I mean, it is very warm out here today, but even still, this material almost feels cool to the touch. And that's where I think the difference of this is. And it's just so light. And the reason I say that, or the reason I mention that now, is because I told you a minute ago that, when you're holding it, it just doesn't feel super light. But once you put this thing on, and like I said, it's because of the buckles. And yeah, if you want to pack it in, you're going to have to be careful because the buckles can be loud. But they are ADF Raptor buckles, which is as good as they get, guys. This saddle's completely American made. I've spent a lot of time in it. I've had this saddle for several weeks. Super pleased with it. But let's put it on, and I'll kind of talk to you about what I think about that. Okay guys, and as promised, once you get this thing on, the buckles are not jingling at all. They can stay pretty tight. And like I said, I like to take my bridge and tighten it, and I like to wear it in like that. Another cool thing about this saddle is they have this little keeper right here by the belt. It's a pretty neat little concept. Instead of trying to find a place to tie this, I can just double that over and pull it up through that little rubber molly loop. But like I said, the weight of this, when you pull it out of the box, to me is not just the wow factor. But once you put it on, that's where that wow factor comes in. Because all the weight, and I mean 99% of the weight of this saddle is in these three buckles. Once you get the saddle on and the three buckles are in the front, it almost feels like nothing on the rear end. If you loosen these buckles a little bit and you couldn't feel it on your thigh, I mean, it would literally feel like nothing. And back to that ripstop, remember, it had like a cool to the touch feel. It's very, very breathable, light. I mean, it literally feels like nothing. The one place I can feel something right now is down here, and that's because I have my leg buckles tight. But that's just something to keep in mind. You know, a lot of guys hunt in warm weather, you know, in the south, or, you know, early season in some places. And this nice, breathable, light material, I think, is going to be a winner for a lot of guys. So let's go over a few of the features with it on. The lineman loops, these are a little bit different than anything I've seen done so far. I may be wrong, but they kind of stick out, similar to the TX5, except for they're very flimsy. And I guess what I like about that is, you know, if you're walking through brush or thick stuff, catch it on something, it shouldn't be much of an issue because it's going to fold back out of the way pretty effortlessly. I mean, there is absolutely no stiffness to the lineman loop in the forward and back position, although it is stiff enough on this area to keep it open. And I'm not going to say this is exactly how they do that, but this rubber, that they have here on these molly loops, which is a super nice touch. I mean, these are even better in my opinion than the gear loops that people have done on saddles for so long. These right here are awesome. You can feel them. They're very rigid, but that same material is put on the lineman loops. I think that keeps it open. That helps it, helps you be able to feel it, helps your dexterity, you know, where it's at, and it is a different feel than the bridge loops. The bridge loops do not have that rubber. So, you know, in the past, especially early on, there may have been some times that I was fiddling with my lineman loop and, you know, trying to put one here and there, and I may have accidentally clipped to my, you know, my bridge loop. You'd never have to worry about that. And not that that's even a huge issue, but you can actually feel a huge difference. And as far as it on, that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I mean, as you can see, it has the standard Trophyline height of a saddle. Trophyline saddles are known for being pretty tall from top to bottom. It has that. The lineman or the bridge loops are not covered. That actually doesn't bother me, but you can tell they're folded over several times, and the stitching on this thing is phenomenal. Huge fan of the saddle altogether. Now let's go back to the rubber itself and talk about some more places that is. So that rubbery feel stuff that is on the bridge loops, or on these molly loops and the lineman loops, but not the bridge loops, that same material is in the saddle around the waistband. A problem that some guys have, one that I've never had, is that your waistband tends to fall down when you're in the saddle, or you carry too much weight on it and it wants to ride. Well, I mean, it's never been an issue for me, so I've never really thought about it. But with this saddle, with that rubber around there, I mean, like, I can tell a noticeable difference. Like, it grips my shirt whenever I put it on. So like, I got to pull it out. It is actually gripping really well around my waist. So with all that said, you know, we've talked about a lot of these features that are maybe just features you don't see in other saddles. How comfortable is it? And I'm gonna say that it's top tier. I've sat in a lot of saddles. I won't even bring up other name brands, but I will say this. There's about 3 saddles at the top of the market that I think that, depending on your size and how you operate the system, they are going to be as comfortable as anything can get as far as saddle goes. And I think there was 2 before this, and this makes 3. There are other saddles out there that fit certain body types better. You know, people prefer single panel, double panel. But with that said, I felt like there was 2 saddles that were in that premium category of comfort that people, depending on how you run it, were going to find one of the 2 as comfortable as anything they'll ever find. I think this adds a 3rd option to the market. I mean, literally, it is that comfortable. And, you know, that height, that extra height that is in here, it almost kind of gives you that feel of a pleated saddle, you know, or that a pleated saddle used to give you. Goes a little bit lower on your thighs, gives you that good cup. It's just a solid design. you know, if you get a chance to check it out, I highly recommend it. And that's, you know, I'll be honest with you, I paid for this myself. That's no BS answer. I was just really curious to see a $300 saddle on the market. I kind of thought, that seems steep. It is a solid offering from Trophyline. But hey guys, if you don't mind, please go below, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you tuning in, and until next time.